everybody, this is Eric Johnson. I want to thank everyone who's hung in there for the last 3 months with me doing no videos, who have stayed subscribed to my channel. I appreciate it. Back almost 3 months now, I announced that I would probably be not doing videos for about 3 weeks because my sister was coming to live with me for 3 weeks due to having her house renovated, and she wouldn't have an access to a toilet, so therefore she was going to come over and stay here. And you know, I got spare bedrooms, so excellent. Plus she's family, right? So that was 3 weeks ago. Excuse me. 3 months later, she still lives here. Contractor problems, supply problems because of COVID. 2 different contractors. One of the contractors fell down on the job, so to speak. Didn't get things done. The inspector didn't like him. Well-respected contractor too. It was very surprising to everyone. But it didn't come back when he was scheduled to come back. One of those things. All of the contractors are experiencing incredible stress because of COVID. So it's unusual times. I'm not going to really give that contractor too much hell emotionally. I mean, myself and my mind, because it's just bad times. But long story short, a 3-week job turned into a 3-month job. She still may be here for 2 more weeks. Some of you may be saying, well, Eric, what the hell does it matter if your sister's there? Just do your videos. Okay, here's the odd thing about this whole situation. And this is pretty odd, but it makes sense once you understand it. When I first started doing the treasure hunt, I'm sorry, this is very unprofessional. Man, I had a guy one time wrote me "You're eating and drinking in your videos. You're not a professional. Why don't you go back to digging ditches or whatever you do and quit trying to do videos?" I was like, man, I mean, he was enraged. It had to be some other issue. Probably it was after I did one of my first political videos. But anyway, when I first started doing the treasure hunt back in 2017 and doing my videos, my first trip, my sister said, was I was foolish to go, that I didn't know what I was doing, that the treasure hunt was a hoax, that Forrest Fenn was a fraud. I mean, I was saying, well, I was just defending Forrest Fenn in the treasure hunt, but the thing I really didn't like was just, you know, she's basically calling me stupid or foolish or naive, all of the things above. And of course, we now know the treasure has been recovered. Note, I use the word recovered. So when it started off on that foot, that she was so adamant that I was wasting my time, and I kept telling her, look, I think I went out there 6 or 7 times to the Rocky Mountains. I kept saying, you know what, just consider I'm going on a vacation, and if you have to get so judgmental about it. I mean, I'm going to the Rocky Mountains, for God's sakes, to go hiking. And you know, when I was in Denver, I went to a nice restaurant and all those. I mean, you know, I had a thing where wherever I would go, I'd all sample their local Mexican food. And of course, you can imagine, sometimes it was really good, sometimes it was average, just like everything everywhere. But it was still kind of a fun way to do it. I think one time I went to one time I went to well, now I'm confusing my trips with this project I did for, it's a long story, where I went around the country, stayed in different places, not too long ago. Well, some years ago. It was IT work that I did around the country with a major movie theater chain before they had to shut down all their operations pre-COVID. Long story short, because she was so adamant that I was wasting my time, when I started doing the videos, I just said, well, I'm not going to tell her about these videos because she's just going to go on her phone. She doesn't use, someone gave her a laptop once, she refuses to use it, so she just sits there all day, little phone, watches Google News and watches YouTube. It's insane, but I just keep going. The 15-inch laptop's better than your cell phone. She's like, I don't care. I use a laptop sometimes. She doesn't ever use it because it sits in, she doesn't use it. That's another, I don't know. You know how it is when someone's living with you, it gets to be 3 months. God bless her, she's my sister. Maybe someday she'll see this video. I could just see her getting on there and just, you know, on her cell phone and watching my videos and just taking the piss out of me, as the English say. And I don't really want to put up with that. So I just never told her about the channel. And I didn't plan to start telling her about the channel just because she came over here so I could say, oh, by the way, I do a channel and don't bother me. Because see, the way I edit my videos is, I know I'm going on about this, folks, but let it be. I edit my videos in my living room. I got a big screen, 65-inch 3D. I can wear 3D glasses to watch my 65-inch thing and play games on it, plus watch movies. It's really cool. I know there are bigger monitors out there now, but I'll get one eventually, but that 3D is something I don't think I can get now. I was at a Best Buy once, and the guy, he was trying to sell me on this. I said, do you have any 3D sets that are bigger than 65? And he points out one, and he goes, yeah, over here. And I looked, and I said, that doesn't have 3D. He goes, yeah, it is 3D. I said, why do you say it goes 4K? I said, are you trying to tell me 3D is 4K? Yeah. I mean, usually the guys at Best Buy are pretty good, but it's like, no, that's 4K and I'm 3D with the glasses. He's like, well, yeah, I think you can wear glasses with it. It's like, forget it. Anyway, long story short, guess who's here? Dun, 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 dun. It's Toba the Boba. He's my Toba boy. It's Toba the Boba. He's my pride and joy. Toba Boba. Thank you, Toba. As the backdrop gets knocked all over the place. God, his tail's right wrapped around the tripod. Oh my God. Tober's tail. I should do a video called Tober's tail. About all the times his tail has been in my videos. What do you think, Tober? You want to say hi to the people? So he immediately lays down. That's the way to get him to stop. Just say you want to pick him up and he'll lay down. So he's right below me. Nothing's changed, folks. Okay, so long story short is I do my video editing in my living room. I sit across from my 65-inch screen and edit on it. Why am I making a point of that? Because obviously you can see everything I'm doing on a 65-inch screen. So if she wants to walk back and forth from her bedroom to the kitchen diner area, she's going to be like, what are you doing on there? And I'll be like, making a movie. And she'll be like, what floor? I'll be like, you know what? Get out of here. So I just decided not to subject myself to that. So instead of 3 weeks of not doing videos, it's been 3 months. And yes, she does leave sometimes, and that's why I'm doing one right now. But needless to say, as I told my financial advisor the other day discussing, I said, I think I almost have gone into clinical depression. Not because of her as a person. Because of I'm just not used to having my privacy constantly bombarded. I'm a very private person. I love being private. I mean, I like people to an extent, but I just really like having my privacy and just kind of getting up and being able to use the kitchen without sharing it with someone else who's fixing their meal and, you know, what's on TV? Or why don't you change it over to this? And I'm like, I don't want to change it over. Oh, okay, man. I guess you want to watch this. You know, it's just one of those ongoing things that you can't. You're just like, oh my God, please, please. Right, Tober? So anyway, let's move on to other things. So here's the bottom line. The video today is primarily, where is Jack and where's the treasure? I know I just talked to my financial advisor the other day. He doesn't have a clue. I've seen some of the things that people are putting on YouTube. Nobody has a clue. Watched a Calazar video the other day that was really good because it turns out that Jack was actually asking questions of Toby Younis when he was doing AGK. And so they were on there, and Toby was on the show with Mike and K-Pro, and they shared the videos of Jack calling in to Toby or some of, I guess, the texts or emails that Toby had gotten. They read those. Nothing earth-shattering as far as what Jack said or what he asked, but interesting nonetheless. And so this whole concept that Jack was out there and on the internet doing stuff before he found the treasure led to a theory that is not a new theory. It's quite an old theory, actually. It goes back to about the time that Jack found the treasure and the treasure was announced, find was announced and all that. There are two main theories, but one was that Fenn, here's one theory, I'll just make it as concise as I can make it. Forrest Fenn knows he's dying. That's been kicked around since Forrest Fenn died, so incredibly close to the find, right? I mean, the find is in June, Forrest dies in August. It's 2 months later. That's pretty amazing timing. So people were like, wow, I wonder if Forrest knew he was dying, and how would that correlate to the treasure being found? And oh, well, what if he contacted someone and either hired someone or, told them where the treasure is? And so that all roads led to Jack, because of course I think we're all pretty certain Jack at least has the treasure. I'm pretty sure of that, although maybe the Forrest Fenn estate does, and that's a very valid question when you hear what I got to say in soon. But the concept is that Forrest may have found out he was going to die, and he reached out to Jack because he saw Jack doing things like communicating with Toby on AGK, and he just realized this Jack guy is really pretty close to the truth. So you know what? I'm going to reach out to him and give him the location. Now, when I say the location, that's very important. He's not going to give him the spot where the special spot where the treasure chest is. Well, I shouldn't put it that way. The location was really, well, I don't know. A little area within a big area. A big area within a bigger area, and a small area in the big area that's in a bigger area. It's all relative, right? Forrest Fenn possibly told Jack the location of the treasure without telling him exactly where the treasure is. We know that Jack did not know exactly where the treasure was because Jack went back 25 times to find the treasure after figuring out the location. The location was where Forrest Fenn wanted to die. Jack figured this out not by figuring out the poem, by his own admission. He said something like, he has said vague things like, yeah, the poem works and the clues are there, but I really figured it out by figuring out where Forrest Fenn wanted to die. And how did he do that? By listening to Forrest Fenn. Maybe he listened to Forrest Fenn on the phone, right? Maybe he read what Forrest Fenn said in an email, right? But somehow, this theory is that Forrest Fenn gave him a location, but not the actual pinpoint spot where the treasure chest was. And of course, Jack said that when he figured out where this location was, that he went there 25 times not realizing that the blaze had been damaged by natural forces. So that's one theory, is that Jack was given the location. Why would he be given the location and not the exact spot where the treasure is? Because legally speaking, this is my personal theory, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thought of it. Forrest Fenn said over and over, if you go by the book and you read the poem and you look at the tips, the hints, you'll be able to figure out where the poem is by following the poem and the hints, right? And whoever finds the treasure chest gets it legally. Title to the gold. And he made a point of saying title to the gold in an interview and said, well, I said the gold. So that makes you wonder about all the gems and stuff. There's so much to this. The point I'm trying to make is that Forrest Fenn, in my opinion, I've harped on this before, and I'm sure some of you have discounted it and thought it's really irrelevant. It's too kind of in the weeds for it to really be something important, but I really believe it could be true from a legal point of view, and that is the idea of an implied contract. I really do think there was an implied contract when Forrest Fenn said, I'm sure some lawyer had the brains to say to Fenn, you keep telling them if they buy the book, they have a chance of finding this. Hints and the clues, they have a chance of finding it if they buy the book. You've said that, or read the book, or have access to the book, even if they got it from a friend for free. The point still was, you kept saying, if people would go read that book and look at the poem and the hints, they had a fair chance of finding it. So maybe they said to Fenn, if you really want someone to recover this treasure now because you're going to die, we don't know why he would be dying, possibly cancer came back, etc. Maybe they said, give them the location and make them go that extra mile, so to speak. Make them find the blaze, make them figure out where the treasure is, and then they will have, quote, found it. Okay? It sounds a little technical, but I think in a court of law, it would at least get a lawyer over that, a defense lawyer over that, if Fenn was being class action suited against, or the Fenn estate. Of course, Fenn died very quickly, so it wouldn't matter about Fenn himself. But the point I'm trying to make is, maybe from Fenn's point of view, that would have given him a little bit of an out to say, I mean, if it all unraveled, if we figured out this is what happened, Fenn could then say, I never told him exactly where it is, you know? So that's one theory, that Jack was given the location by Fenn, because quite frankly, we've all read that poem over and over and over and over again, and I think it's unfindable. Someone told me that the other day. They said they'd read the poem 100 times, and ultimately it just gets, I mean, there's nothing to it. As I've said numerous times, it's like a Rorschach test. You just read into that poem what you want to read into it. Now, Jack claims he was able to figure out from things Fenn said in interviews and things he had written that he figured out where Forrest Fenn wanted to die. He said he didn't necessarily follow the poem to find this location. He figured out the place where Forrest Fenn wanted to die. And he brings up things like the incident with the waterfall in Vietnam and the French grave. And then the thing with him going over Philadelphia and putting his thumb over Philadelphia. And he says, look for those special moments that kind of stand out for Fenn. And that'll kind of help you figure out where he wanted to die. Well, to me, that's as vague as the poem. I mean, okay. Going on to part 2, folks.